Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Maverick, which I haven't played in a long time. Probably since middle of last year, November-ish. Probably since the Green Sun Summit. Maybe just after. But I haven't played this year. And I've seen Achilles doing really well with this Naya build, which I believe he has 3 5-0s with. I don't think there's any, if any, slight tweaks between the 3 different lists, which is really cool to see. Obviously, he's found a list that he's very happy with, and we have it in front of us today. In the main deck, we have a very light red splash for the 1 Mawloc as Green Sun's target, which is really nice to have against cards like Magus of the Moon or Harbinger of the Tides. And then we also have a Minsc, which is a really nice late game. It's a great card to be able to accelerate into as well, which is nice. And then the sideboard, 1 additional copy of Minsc and the 3 Pyroblasts, which makes a lot of sense. We do have Leyline as well as a black card, but of course this is one we want in our opening hands against decks like Ouphe spells, which you might not always have the time to disrupt through cards like Deafening Silence or Keen-Eyed Curator, or even Endurance. The Leylines not being able to be countered by Pact Negation is pretty huge, and just being able to hopefully buy you some time to then build out additional disruption through these types of spells. So the Leyline should be really interesting. The Force of Vigor is obviously quite good against if there's any Mystic combo going around. The Storm decks running Beseech, lands, any sort of Painter decks as well. I've always moved between 2 and 3. I typically find 3 just means you're likely to have one in your opening hand, which is exactly what you want against the decks where you have it. I also just saw that we don't have the correct library art, so I will quickly change that. I haven't tested the new cub, but it must be pretty good. I did see that the SCG Chicago Legacy Friday event was won by a Maverick list with, I believe, 2 cubs in the main deck. Seems like a really nice way to, 1, have a decent threat through fetch lands, but then also potentially get some of your other creatures out of harm's way in terms of making an X1 and X2 so it can't be hit by Bowmaster, an X3 to a 4/4 to get it out of bolt range. Sorry, there's a fair bit of lag on MTGO. I haven't been hit by too much of this lag, but it does seem that there is a little bit going on. All right, let's find our library and get into it. Otherwise, yeah, it seems really good. I've seen it in Cradle Control as well, in sort of Newton's lists. And I think that makes a lot of sense as well because you have so many ways to also get lands into play. This list is playing 1 Reclaimer, which I don't mind as a Green Sun's target. We have a nice mix of 2 Bird and 3 Noble. Bird, of course, can't or can produce red. Noble can't. You might see Ignoble Hierarch in this slot over the birds because you might think that Exalted is a little bit better than just the flying of birds. Some quick pros and cons. The Exalted is actually quite good as well with Minsc because it means you can play Minsc, attack with the Boo, trigger, and then draw 2 straight away, which is pretty sweet. The birds alongside Mother of Runes is also nice because you can block some things like Murktide or Big Flyers to buy some time. We also have the Scryb Ranger for that, which is cool. But yeah, birds is nice. Obviously, sometimes you're stuck a little bit when they have maybe like a Teferi on one and you have a Mana Dork that can't actually attack. Whereas if you had one with Exalted, you could potentially finish off a Teferi that just bounced your actual threat. So there's definitely some advantages and disadvantages to having a split of the birds and Exalted Mana Dorks and those without. So it'll be interesting to see when different ones come up. We're playing a Legacy League with Naya, play points. Nice. A big shout out to my sponsors as well. Palms Off Games, who are based in Melbourne, an Australian-based TCG accessory company. MTG Mate, Australia-wide shipping for singles. Daybreak Games for allowing me to play this. Pretty sweet hand already. So we have some options on turn 1. We could play turn 1 Birds of Paradise to get ahead. We have the Reclaimer turn 1. We have the Minsc and Boo to accelerate into, which is really nice as well. Very happy to keep it. Really depends on what our opponent is playing, which will depend what we need to play. Maybe if they're on a graveyard strategy, we want to get to Bojuka Bog as soon as possible. But if it's something like a blue-white style deck, then maybe just accelerating is better. The Preordain's interesting. Preordain makes me think of combo, but I know that there's definitely a lot of mid-range and control decks that do just have it as an additional way to manipulate the top of their deck, have a little bit more control over what they're playing. I think because the Wooded Foothills could be a Dryad Arbor or it could be the Surveyor land, and this most likely isn't a Bolt deck, I don't have to get this Reclaimer to be a 3-4 straight away. So I think here we're just going to go for Savannah into Reclaimer. A lot of these matches as well, because the red splash is so light, if I can get away without showing that, then potentially they won't see something like the Pyroblasts coming in from the board, and it might just catch them a little bit off guard. One thing to think about as well is that if it is combo, turn 1 Bird into turn 2 Gaddock Teeg, or I believe we also have a copy of Collector Ouphe, would be pretty strong as well. So this could also be Doomsday. Which is interesting. We could double spell this turn, which would also lead to a Minsc next turn. We could hold up Bojuka Bog if we needed to, but I'm going to assume that this is actually Doomsday based off Preordained Ponder Thoughtseize, which is quite nice because we do have Talon gates in the deck, which is a great way to try to get them through an uncounterable way. So I don't mind double spelling here. Mum into green for bird, and then attacking with the Reclaimer. They obviously know our full hand now. So I, with the consider as well, that to me is a pretty big sign that this is going to be Doomsday. Okay. Knight's pretty great. I'm going to play the land first because then we get to play it around a daze. And then we might as well attack. I could Lush right now to try to get 2 lands in the bin, but I don't think it's needed because it won't change the clock, but it will give information potentially to my opponent. Okay, I feel like that's good for us. Nice. No, like Dark Ritual into Doomsday yet. Unless it's off pedal. Okay. Ah, interesting. Bolas's Citadel. I did not expect this. So Bolas's Citadel is, you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana cost rather than pay its mana. So you can obviously go to 9 instead of paying the blue. Okay, so it is still Doomsday. I wonder if this makes it a lot easier to Doomsday, especially at 7 life. Yeah, it's tricky. Like, obviously, if we held up the Reclaimer, I think it's too hard not to play the Knight because that gives us an out to having just lethal the following turn. But the nice thing about holding up Reclaimer there is you could either Bojuka Bog in response to Cabal to keep them off the extra 2 mana, or you could hold up Talon Gates. Tendrils. Okay. Interesting. So we're looking at a Doomsday / Storm deck. So when I look at cards that can come out pretty easily, it's typically the removal. I do like the mums because they do keep things like Gaddock Teeg or Collector Ouphe in play. We did see a bit of blue. The Deafening Silence is a pretty easy one. I don't mind the Aven over a Knight. And then let's say the Deafening Silence comes out for the Mawloc. The Choke is pretty nice as well, especially on the play. The Questing Beast with Doomsday can be nice, but typically is just not where we want to be. Leylines, we saw Cabal, but I don't think Leylines are worth it. I don't mind the Pyroblasts, especially if we can, even if it's just for slowing down their cantrips. I probably don't want double Minsc. Double Minsc in the opener would be pretty tough. It could be the Force because we did see the Bolasses. Maybe it's something like this. Really want to have a nice plan early on. This obviously is a mulligan with the mana. We do have a free spell in the Force, but I don't think that's good enough. Opponent's gone to 6 as well. We would most likely here be dropping an Endurance. Maybe not, because we would probably want to play an Endurance turn 2 potentially to get a threat on board. And then we have the Choke to play. We want 2 lands, so it's probably the Force of Vigor potentially. Or we go down and just make sure our mana's a little bit better, because not always does Once Upon a Time find a green source. The percentages are high, but I'm definitely being caught out. So I think I'd rather come down to a hand with a bit more of a plan. And this is pretty good. This has turn 1 bird, turn 2, or turn 1 Once Upon a Time into bird into Gaddock Teeg. So I'm going to bottom the Scryb Ranger. No, I'm going to bottom the Knight. And then the library is quite nice because if they thought seize us and take the Teeg, we have the library to come back into card parity, which is nice. I think it is just this. Happy to get the other fetch land. Go for Savannah. Go for bird. But definitely a tricky one if they do go under us. There's another playlist here as well. I think it's ambient. Yeah. That's pretty good. I think here we just try for Collector Ouphe. Quick think. Yeah. Turn off pedals or LED potentially. Play the Teeg first. Play Noble. Attack for 3. I think we might be 1 off because we have 4 in play that have the Delta, which puts them down. Yeah. GG's. Definitely a tough one. But I felt like our hand at a 5 was pretty good. To have the Teeg and then a way to get back some cards as well through the library against a deck that doesn't typically do damage is pretty strong. But yeah, I think if I splash the color in a local metagame where I knew Doomsday was around, I'd probably go for black. Because of cards like Thoughtseize, Bowmaster, you still get Deafening Silence, which is really nice. Okay, a little slow, but it does have turn 2 library. And we have control over the next draw. Maybe a little too slow. I've been hearing, I haven't played much Legacy recently, but I've been hearing a lot about the speed of Legacy right now. So potentially it's just a little bit too slow. Okay. I think here we bottom the Minsc. We lead on the Wooded Foothills, hold up Sword. We have turn 2 Teeg if it's relevant. I actually think in this case, it's better to Wasteland this. I think it's, I was going to say it's better to get the Karakas down and play the Teeg to keep something like a Ring or Grim Monolith, like somewhat new to Grim Monolith because they can't really get bigger. That I am going to put this on top. Do I want this? I think I do. Because we get to go next turn Teeg, untap, and we have 1, 2, 3 mana. Wasteland the Saga, Swords the token, play the Noble to attack for 3. Sadly, cards like Teeg and Collector Ouphe aren't as lights out as they used to be, but they are still quite a nuisance to play around. All right, so let's... I could also get rid of the Ancient Tomb here. A little bit risky, but I don't mind it. Is there even a reason to Swords? Not just yet. I think I might be happier holding up the Karakas as protection for the Teeg. They gain an extra life if they get something here. I think we will be getting rid of it anyway. The Noble also means we can Green Suns if we draw it for Collector Ouphe, which is quite nice. seat. Wow. Ah. Happy to swords that. Play the Windswept. Ooh, we get to turn off. Wow, we get to go Rallier into Wasteland, which takes them off the seat, which takes them off the Mox as well. And they can't force it because of the Teeg. That's pretty sweet. Needle's fine. Wasteland. I was going to say one thing they could have done is named Karakas. Obviously, Wasteland is still an issue, but if they name Karakas, we can't Green Suns for the rest of the game, which does turn off the ability for us to get Collector Ouphe. I think I'll tap like this. I can still cast every... I guess I can't cast Keen-Eyed if I don't tap the Karakas. What are the chances? Pretty low. Let's tap like this. Okay. The extra Noble doesn't do a whole lot unless we draw into Minsc, which we can't even cast with the Teeg on the field. The Bog, I don't think is relevant. The extra land drop's kind of nice. It might just be the Noble in case they play some sort of creature that I do want to attack into with just one creature that won't trade. So I might as well just attack with the Renegade Rallier, get that extra damage in. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll be a 6/6. I guess then we're just playing the Reclaimer. I want to hold this as unknown. This Manifold Key can make the construct unblockable as well. So we do have to probably chump block this turn with something. Otawara. Targeting Teeg. Okay, there's no point using the Karakas on it. This might be Khan. The One Ring. Okay. Wow, paradoxical outcome and the Bolas Citadel. Are we playing Vintage? Did we accidentally sign up for Vintage? What is this? Where's Legacy? What's happening? Cool deck though. Hey Eli, very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. We've just joined a league. We played against Bolas Citadel turn 1, or game 1, and then we just got paradoxical outcome in turn 2. So I'm trying to catch up with legacies as quick as I can, but it seems like Maverick's been left behind. And I feel like the stream is from 2016. I'm very happy for this matchup, especially that we do have the 3 Force of Vigors, because this is exactly a matchup where you want them. Yeah, I assume that would be Achilles' reasoning for the 3 full, or the 3 Force of Vigors on the side. This song always puts me to sleep. Let's not do that. This card is really cool. So I assume this is going to be us. Funnily enough, questing Beast off the top if we get a turn is good enough because we have 6 mana. We have 4 mana for the questing Beast. We then have 2 mana to Talon gates out the big construct, and then none of the creatures on board can block the questing Beast. So potentially that could be our 1%. But I feel like we're just gonna probably die to this Fleshraker, so yeah. I would assume, seeing the paradoxicals, that it's worth bringing in the blasts in this matchup. This probably isn't a mum matchup. Probably still want swords for the Fleshrakers. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, Phyrexian Metamorph is a great one. So I obviously really like the Force of Vigors. I like the Deafening Silence as well. I think they're Deafenance. The blasts are probably in this area. The Beast is probably just not where we want to be. Although it does get through the One Ring. We didn't see a One Ring though, but I would assume that it's in there somewhere. So it's kind of nice to have that in the deck. The Endurances I could probably see getting cut. The Mums I could see getting cut. Like Keen-Eyed can get pretty big as a small creature, especially if we're Force Vigoring stuff. Mawloc does deal with is like one way to deal with a Glaring Fleshraker potentially. I think the Bog can come out. A lot of the graveyard stuff. I mean, that's a 60, so that's a start. Choke, no. Minsc, no. Aven, no. They don't really search. Dismember, I think that swords is probably just better. I don't mind seeing how this goes. I think it really comes down to being able to control the early game. So a hand with one of these or these two and a Green Suns for Ouphe. Okay, well here's the Noble into Collector Ouphe. And that does also have Wastelands with it, so I'm pretty happy to keep this. We do have to think about potentially if we want to get a Taiga off this, which I don't mind. Taiga into Noble, turns on all colors. I really hope it's just fast mana here. Wow. Well, yeah, it's very true. So they cannot tap the Grim here. Okay, so they have a Dismember. They went down on life total by 2, then 2. But then took it back as if they're saving it to not use on the Reclaimer. They have 10 cards in hand. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we can do too much there. I think if anything, again, just another matchup where we kind of need to mulligan more aggressively to our Deafening Silence or potentially the Force of Vigors. But also matchups where you just need to be like really challenging, take it on the chin, and then just move on to the next. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. I think for the hand we had, we really wanted to see like a Saga into Key pass. Yeah, because my thinking is they're probably thinking what's their best play. It's probably either turn on Deafening Silence or turn to Green Sun's Fatigue. So they also need to keep a hand that's better than or turn to for Ouphe. Yeah, especially knowing that they have the K command as well. Okay, pretty great mana, good removal. A little bit weak to combo, but we have a few ticks, which is nice. Yeah, maybe with the key in play, there's no point wastelanding there, and it's a case of just hold the mana, so we have 3 mana on turn 3, 4 Green Suns for 2. Thespian Stage. Swamp. Okay, interesting. Ah, there's a showcase? Okay. I think we're happy to get a Savannah and then just play Noble. What is the showcase? Is the showcase where you need the 40 points for? I'm definitely out of it when it comes to competitive events. Challenges you play every Saturday or Sunday. Prelims are 4-round events that happen every now and then. And then I think prelims also give you extra of those tokens to get into things. So this is interesting. They've actually played this out without there being a Dark Depths in play, but I assume they would have Elvish Spirit Guide into crop rotation if needed. So I think you were happy just to play a land and pass with instant speed up, including Lush Portico. If you 4-roll prelim, oh, you get the 40 cube points straight away? Okay. So I could swords, and then if they crop in response, we swords again. Which we can actually do if we play the Scryb Ranger first. So what's worst case here? Worst case is they take a sword and then they have a Not of This World for the Dark Depths. I think I'm happy just to get the Taiga. Play this Scryb. Why else would they play out the Hex Mage? What I'm trying to do here is trade a crop rotation with swords. Obviously the crop still gets a land, but maybe I also just allow them to have the Dark Depths and then get rid of it. But then, yeah, we do know about the stage. Yeah, I think we allow them to have the Dark Depths and then they just gain 20. And just hope that 2 of the other cards aren't Not of This World. Okay. Well, now I actually feel pretty good about our position. A Green Sun's a Knight, a Questing Beast. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. 1, 2, 3. 4. We also have a blocker, which is really nice. Needle's fine. I assume on Wasteland. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Minsc. Yes. Tick up. Attack with all. Jeez. Very lucky. Like bang a 4-drop and a bang a 4-drop, like both haste as well. Okay. No. Teeg. That does stop the once. I think we want to Attack for 9 and then sack and throw to draw. Okay. That's another blocker, but of course both run into Sajiri Step. The needle is on Wasteland. I kind of like Green Suns for Reclaimer, which turns on Talon Gates, which we can semi-play around next turn because we have the Gaddock Teeg to take Not of This World off the table. Reclaimer, Noble. We've played a land. I don't think it's worth using Scryb Ranger here. Okay, there's their combo. They play another one. Okay, so they have one card left. Worst case is Not of This World. We do want... Ooh. Does that change things? So if we attack with everything, 1, 2, 6 puts them to 3, and then the throw is lethal. So all we need to do is play a land, play the Teeg first, and then hold up Reclaimer. That extra 20 did kind of run away. 1, and I guess we don't really even need to play the land because we have the Scryb Ranger to give us the mana. Oh. Interesting. Ah, maybe they have Talon Gates. No, they're gonna... Now they're gonna do it. Okay. Three, and then sack Questing Beast to hit them. Yo, that is... nice. Probably some smaller things we could have done there, but not too unhappy. I do like the Force of Vigors somewhat for Pithing Needle. I do like Dismember, but that's really it. I don't mind the Aven. Like we have Crop Rotation, we probably have Sylvan Scrying. They're the main two, but obviously still pretty key cards. The Gaddock Teeg doesn't do a whole lot outside of Not of This World. And I think having Teeg in play is worse for us, especially post-board with Force of Vigor. Mums are still good. Endurances can block. Keen-Eye can probably come out. Yeah, the Force is just nice because usually the ways that I typically lose this game is Needle. Otherwise, that's the only reason that I usually have some sort of favor towards them. Like Ouphe only really hits Lotus Petal. Might just be one endurance. Typically, we're trying to deal with the Dark Depths, not the Marit Lage. I mean, it could also be Bog, but I'm pretty happy with this. Pretty terrible mana. But we do have once to find a land. We do have some interaction in Wasteland. I don't mind this on the draw. Especially to have two pieces of interaction. It's kind of a mulligan with the Questing Beast. So I don't mind seeing them. Seeing like these 6 as a 6. Okay. Four cards, we know about Spirit Guide. Start with the once. A fetch land would be nice. Nice. And then I don't want to lead on the Karakas just yet. I want to hide that as much as possible. And because there aren't many red cards post board, I guess it's the same amount. I'm still pretty happy just to go for a Savannah here. Play the mum. Hey, Standstill, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Glad you could catch one of my streams live. That's very cool. I appreciate the support. Feeling pretty good. Something like Land Hex Mage, and then with the Spirit Guide in hand plus other cards means that Crop could potentially be online. So I think next time we will be playing the Karakas. Okay. I always try to think of Not of this World, and if we have Karakas and Savannah open with swords in hand, do you Karakas first or swords? Typically, I like to go swords first, but they obviously know about the Karakas. And there are worlds where Boseiju can really get you, because if you have Savannah open with Karakas and you swords first, and then you go to Karakas after Another This World. Sorry, if you swords first and then they go Boseiju on the Karakas and then they go Another This World, then it obviously gets both, I believe. Maybe not. I think I just did myself. Not of This World. Target spell. Counter target spell ability. No, it's only once. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay. So here we just have to pass. Okay, so they don't have right now a way to protect, which is quite nice. They have two cards, one is Spirit Guide. I think end step I'm happy to once upon a time potentially find another green source for the endurance. I could also be quite aggressive here and swords the Hex Mage. And then if they make the token, we have Karakas. But then if they protect it, we untap and Karakas. I don't think that's where I want to be, because then it leaves me with just Karakas to enter the Dark Depths. Okay. That's actually quite nice, because now we just get to go fetch for a Taiga to get that color, play the Noble, and then hold up swords Karakas again, and then next turn play the Liberator and the Wasteland, which will give us another way to interact with the Dark Depths. Scrying is going to be fine. I assume this is for Ghost Quarter. But at least if they get Ghost Quarter and Ghost Quarter us, what we can do is we can... So they played that. Oh, they've used a Spirit Guide. Did they just use one then? Maybe I don't know the last card. Sorry. Let's bring this out. Reveals. Dark Depths. Ah, they used it. Okay, they used it then. Gotcha. Oh, don't want to do that. Apologies, team. Bring this across. There we go. Okay, so they have one card left. And we really want to have them. We really want to interact with them. Oh, Mawloc. That's pretty interesting. That is sorcery speed. I think we'll start with Liberator. And then play Wasteland. So they don't see the Wasteland with Liberator already in play. Nice. Well, now we're in a great spot, because if this Liberator flips, then we get to attack with it as well. Being a 3/3, we don't care about the Hex Mage, it also destroys the Needle, so it really puts pressure on our opponent to potentially find a way to wiggle out the Marit Lage here. They don't currently have up green mana unless they Ghost Quarter themselves. So like Crop Rotation I don't think is in hand. It could be another Spirit Guide. It could be Not of This World. Maybe they would have been more aggressive if it was Not of This World. All right, we get the flip. Ooh, okay. Start with attacks. Trigger. Hit the Needle. And then I think, honestly, we're just coasting. Mana up for this. Wasteland, Swords, Karakas. Yeah, really tough for them. Like, honestly, we also had there, we could just Mawloc the Hex Mage and fight, and then still have open Wasteland, Karakas, and Swords. So, I think that it shows you how favorable the matchup typically is. Which means we're on the board, which is nice. But yeah, pretty tough draw for our opponent as well. Like no turn 1 interaction, no hand disruption. It looked like they didn't have multiple ways to protect. Steely Resolve, I think, is kind of cool. Steely Resolve makes you have to have Artifact or Enchantment Hate. Safekeeper even. Safekeeper is a sweet card that they didn't have access to in those games if they're playing it. A lot of rain here, for those of you who don't know. There was a cyclone over the weekend, which was downgraded to a tropical storm once it got inland, which is nice. But still, a lot of flooding. And thankfully, one of the lucky ones not affected by it too much. It's pretty crazy seeing some of the photos around Brisbane and the coastline. Even like very fortunate to have power. There's a lot of people without power right now, which is not fun. So very fortunate to be able to stream the Savo, get some good old magic in, or Maverick I should say as well. Wow, the Shallow Grave with 14 trophies, second Tony with 8. I'd love to know what the Shallow Grave has been playing. One guess. Well, look, the name, I'm going to say they enjoy graveyard strategies. I know that Ouphe has definitely been doing really well, but potentially they're on blue-black. I think that potentially Ouphe is the red herring, and they're actually just a blue-black player. The Shallow Grave. If it's goblins, I'll end the stream. Mono Jund Reanimator. Okay. Interesting. Well, Mono Jund. That's cool. All right. On the play. Not the worst. We have ways to accelerate something for unfair potentially. A little bit awkward in the mana, but I'm happy to see how this slides. I think I like here turn 1 Mum. Just to see if we can keep her alive. But would you look at that? 2025 Legacy, you sit down, your opponent goes Horizon Canopy, Mother Runes Pass. And your other opponent goes Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal Lorien revealed. Interesting. Maybe Show and Tell? Gives me Show and Tell vibes. Okay. In that case, we will try to turn off Petals. I think it's worth attacking here. I'm going to say there's not many ways for their main deck to remove the Collector Ouphe anyway. Okay. I think it's just Teeg, which isn't great because it turns off the other green suns, but Teeg does stop some of the bigger stuff. Maybe it's... Honestly, it could just be green suns for Outland Liberator, and if they show and tell in, we put in the Wasteland. I'm going to go for the Outland first because you can't Teeg and then Outland, but you can do the other way around. I think we know what's coming. Oh, okay. Well, I'll try. I will, in response, try to hit this. And they got Cunning Wish. Tough. Wonder how they win these turns. I think it's safe to say our opponent is stocked up. Nice. Okay. I like these. Mawloc, a little bit too slow. Endurance, not great. Bog, not great. Mum does save from bounce, that's about it. I don't mind removing some amount of swords. Minsc, oh, deafening silence. Keen-Eyed, just a little bit too slow. Minsc is interesting. I think we'll just run it like this. Not too much we can do against this sort of deck. Unless you really have some true hate. Lead with birds because it means we could potentially draw into... doesn't actually matter. I was going to say, interesting. Play Mum. Play Noble. And then I think the Surveil land here is better than playing another land, another creature. Just to make sure we draw into something good. The bird could also be fodder for Force of Vigor. Probably too slow. I think we really need to find like a blast effect, or potentially a Wasteland, or a deafening. I guess we could also try to find that with Minsc down the line. I don't think it's a great position, but the Minsc is at least a little bit fun. We'll get in that damage. But I think maybe it should have been a bit of a mulligan towards a blast effect or a force effect or a deafening silence. I mean, Teeg and blast effect means they can't force back, which is kind of cool. Choke would be nice. Hmm. And then I think here it's better just to hold up the sword, so we could swords in a Traxa, which they can't force. All right, deck. Not the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we can't actually green suns with Teeg in play, so that's pretty funny. A little bit of lag on my end. I assume they play dress down. They're going to show and tell. I don't think we even need to swords this right now. So they do have a dress down. Pro blue. So we can block. Get pro. Now they have to try to dress down and go off. No. Interesting. I don't think we can play around the dress down, sadly. Because if they dress down, they just block with the Atraxa. Maybe the play was actually to pro a bird. No, because that's only one. Can plow in response to dress down. Yeah, and then I guess... I don't think there's a way to win without allowing them to gain 7. They do have Fluster, but... So they can, of course, force this because the Teeg is turned off by the dress down. Green. We don't really care about Emrakul, which is nice. We don't care too much about Atraxa. Interesting. Not just drawing 3, getting the extra land in play. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. We did our best. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Stupid, honestly. Let's just bring in the extra Minsc. I want to be doing some cool stuff, and I feel like Minsc is cool. But I mean, like, no Deafening Silence, no Pyroblast, no Force that game, but we still did okay. I don't mind this, especially with the Force in hand. Having the choke's quite nice, especially with Island and Island start. The Ponder shuffles. All right, let's go for Savannah, because that works well with the Scryb as well. I actually really miss Thalia this league. Like Storm, Show and Tell, the Grim artifact deck. I think here I'm just going to attack with the Mum, hold up Scryb, and then next turn we definitely have 3 mana for the choke, which is nice. Wow, just a pass? Go for Taiga. Play the Scryb. To me, this feels like intuition. But 1, 2. Hey Geodude, always a pleasure to catch you live. Always like seeing you in chat. Hope you're doing well. I think we attack with both. And then green, green, untap this, return this. Green, choke. Oh, fancy. Show and tell. Okay. Okay, so here's a pretty cool play. I think what we want to do is use Scryb Ranger's ability now so that when Renegade Rallier enters, we have Force of Vigor. We have priority with the ETB. So let's go untap this. Return Savannah. and then let this come into play. Renegade Rallier, trigger. With this trigger on the stack, we get to force these two pitching bird, which stops them from being able to play something at sorcery speed. Ah, so close. Close. So they get to counter it. Return that to hand. Okay. Close. Probably shared summons. Yeah. We tried. We had some cool plays. Traxer. Nice. All right. Maybe we can finish 2-3. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, definitely. When people said there's a lot of combo online, I should have taken that a little bit more seriously. Even small things like maybe more deafening silence would be good. We have 4 ley lines in the board that haven't really been too relevant, but that's, you know, ley lines kind of a feast or famine card. But yeah, maybe like, oof. I did like when I played Thoughtseize main deck in Abzan. Gave you a bit of like heads up on what's to come, how to play out your turns, what to green suns for. Obviously can disrupt, which is nice. It's not too bad off the top, seeing that so many combo decks these days just have so many cards in hand as well. Especially with stock up. Like it's always going to be a 2-for-1. Just kind of trying to make space for non-creature spells in Maverick can be pretty tough, because usually it does hit your creature count. But Thoughtseize, I find, is just one of those cards that over time has done so well to hold some strength. Sadly, no. Just a Wasteland start. Okay, keep this bottom 1 night. Come on, Windswept Heath. No. Spirit Guide. Fable. Okay. Cast the once. Windswept. Get the basic forest. And then probably play the Noble. Chromox and Sundering Eruption to the bin. Hieroglyph potentially? The One Ring. Okay. I guess then I don't mind going towards Collector Ouphe. They don't even draw a card, which makes me think they have a Fury or something similar in hand. Really tough on the draw, yeah. Especially without like some sort of early interaction. Tough. The forces. I don't mind Minsc and I don't mind Dismember. Endurance is a pretty easy cut. Mums are still strong. Mana Denial. Library a little bit too. I like the Minsc instead of the library because just with the one forest you can cast it off out of Blood Moon, which is nice. It's probably just Bojuka Bog. But I think like access to the basic early, some sort of removal in hand, a threat. Mana acceleration is always nice. Chalice is always a bit of a speed bump in this matchup. It doesn't do too much to actually like slow me. It does slow me down a lot. It doesn't like stop me from winning, but it does slow me down a lot. Okay. A little bit spicy, but it does have good removal and interaction. Okay. I feel like the land here is actually better for us potentially. No. I'm happy to try to set them back. And probably even trade this Force and Noble for the Chalice. I'd love to be able to hit something else though. Like even a Chromox. Hieroglyph. Well, I guess we're probably forcing this. Yeah, not great. And then swordsing. Okay, there's our basic. Just don't go Soul Ring. Okay. I will get the basic out of the deck. But it does turn off white. Maybe then the play is Lush. Yeah, I think the play is Lush. That can go in the graveyard. That's very true. I should have dismembered because it keeps the bird. For some reason, I just thought that Dismember was better for me because it can like kill a Magus of the Moon without actual access to white. But yeah, I should have definitely dismembered the Pyrogoyf. That is definitely a not enough time against Pyrogoyf miss. I think we'll pass here. Probably could have played the Cradle. Okay. Happy to play that. Play that. I don't really want to play out something into a Fury, but I do want to increase the clock, which is kind of odd. I think because we have the Dismember and then a follow-up with like Mawloc. Ooh, that's pretty good. Sorcery instant. Sadly, nothing that doubles up just yet. But very close to it. Oh, I guess they can't even Fury both, which is nice because it's a 3. I believe Dismember would work because, oh, maybe, yeah. Interesting. Maybe it's more like Grim Lavamancer, where the damage will still go through. The Pyrogoyf doesn't need to be there. Yeah, I'm actually not too sure, Lackey, about Dismember and the Goyf. That's a very interesting one. Broadside. Okay. Hey, Timmy C, thank you very much. We are keeping dry. So if they attack and then play something, they can then throw it. But I could Dismember in response to them casting something, so I don't mind if I just allow this to happen. No, I think because like a Fury would be pretty brutal. They're obviously just, I think they're just tossing up what to Fury. Yeah. And there's nothing that doubles up here, like creature, instant, land, artifact. Yep. I could still have eaten something, which is probably correct because it does make the Goyfs worse. So I should have taken out like the artifact. That's pretty reasonable. Oh, that's pretty good. Two-turn clock. But yeah, just small things, definitely very rusty. Need to really be thinking about like reasoning to do things. Pretty happy just to run this back. I need some Mark of Asylums. Mark of Asylums, Bird and Forge Tenders. Right, Force of Vigor in the opening with a land and a Swords to Plowshares. Like Swords, green source, Wasteland, Force, green card, land, threat. Not far off. I don't mind this. Okay. I probably just want to, this is, enters enough to draw step. I probably just want to take a draw and see what I draw into. Because if I draw into Swords to Plowshares or Dismember, that's pretty sweet. Now the question is, if we do force these two, one, what creature do we get rid of? Probably the Knight, just because it's a little bit too far down. But the other question is, do we play the Mum or do we hold up basic Forest? I feel like we just have to hold up. I feel like we just have to play out Mum. There is the thought if they have like a dead gone or a way to deal with Mum, then it's probably better to do this in their end step, but it is also nice to have the extra information of what we drew into. Also getting like Plateau there maybe is better, because then we can get basic Forest off this, cast a Teeg, and then have a red source as well. Definitely miss removal here. Yeah. Tough. Really tough one. 1-4. We played against. Doomsday. Paradox. Doomsday. Paradox. Mono red. Depths. Blue green. Sneak. Definitely matchups I wouldn't say are ones that I would like to play against, but I think they're definitely matchups that you could move the needle towards if you knew it. Like, I think Deafening Silence is a great card for the matchups that we played against, but obviously just having the one we didn't see it. Potentially some more removal would have been cool as well, but not really needed as well for the matchups we saw outside of mono red. Yeah, definitely a hopefully not a great showing of the format, and hopefully it is a bit wider than what we saw, but yeah, cool to come back to it. It was cool to play a bit of Naya. Minsc and Boo is definitely a card that I really enjoy playing with. So being able to throw a questing beast with Minsc and Boo for the win was pretty cool, and probably not on everyone's bingo card for 2025. But yeah, like we didn't bring in the ley lines once, which is just, the gamble of a league. Like sometimes you will play against graveyard stuff, sometimes you won't. And when you have a card that's very linear like Leyline, it's going to do that. But yeah, probably if we played again, we'd probably play against 2 graveyard decks potentially in the next league. So I can definitely see the reasoning for it when you look at things like MTG Goldfish. So that's me. A huge thank you to all of you for coming and watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to see who else is streaming and send you over their way. It looks like we have some legacy. So thank you again. Enjoy your weekends, and I'll catch you next time.